When it comes to voicings, voicings aren't necessarily just this like genius thing where like, oh, this one guy's just so genius, he knows all the voicings. Sometimes it's as simple as, if you want to have your own unique sound, if you just do this exact process for a matter of months, suddenly you are in incredible shape. All right, so if we're going to talk about the idea of creating our own voicings, at the end of the day, what is a voicing? A voicing is just a different order of the notes we already know fit into a chord. And the notes of that chord come from the corresponding scale. So obviously just using C major as like a beginning reference, here are our notes. It's just the white notes on the keyboard, right? So a C major voicing, sure, there are some basic shapes that we tend to use, like, you know, we have the 1, 7, 3 kind of shape. We have the 1, 5, 9. But we actually could just take these in whatever order we want. So let's just try an example here. I'm going to say this is going to be rootless. I will say that it tends to work best if one of the primary chord tones are in the root of the chord. So either the 3, 5, usually the 3 or 5. The 7's a little more, depends on the voicing. But let's just say, let's put the 3 in our chord. So I'm going to keep this scale up here. So these are our notes, right? Down here, I'm just going to put them in a random order. Do 3. All right, so now E is used, right? E is now used up. How about we also do F? I'm gonna do F right there. We're gonna get a weird crunch. Let's see what happens. I'm gonna take the B. So now we've used E, F, and B, right? So those are no longer usable. I'm gonna go with C. I have no idea how this is gonna sound. So we've still got G. All right, E, F, B, C, G. That's 5 out of 7. So we could still do D. That's what we have so far. Weird. Okay, and then the A finally. I think I did everything there correctly. So this is the voicing we just came up with. And is this a legit voicing? Sure. Do you have to like it? No, I didn't know what this was going to sound like as I did it, but I just rearranged the notes. And now I think to give this a really fair chance, let's actually throw a C in the bass and hear how it sounds against C. Let me see if I can get this shape up an octave too. So it's a really interesting one. I've never played this voicing in my entire life. Now, a really interesting thing here is I can come up with this shape and examine it and be like, what do I not totally love? Well, subjectively, perhaps the most potentially displeasing note would be the 4. That little clash right down there. So I'm just going to remove that. And now that's really pretty. And now I'm kind of like, what if I rearrange this some more? I want to keep the 4, so what if I move this G here down to the 4? Weird. Okay, so I'm still not loving it there. What if I just... So the 4 is just not working for me so much in this voicing. Which makes sense, because the 4 is the trickiest note to make work in a major chord. And then maybe I'll actually add the F on top. Interesting. And then I might be like, you know what? I think I want to add a 4 that is a little bit more common in major voicings, which is a sharp 4 or sharp 11. So check this out. Whoa. That's such a cool voicing.
Hey, Noah here. Just want to let you know really quick that most of the content you're actually seeing on this channel is coming from completely free masterclasses that we've been holding. So if you actually want to join and be a part of those masterclasses, again, it's totally free. Click one of the links in the description that will give you access to free resources, free courses, and of course the free masterclasses. And as soon as you're on the email list, you will be one of the first people to know when we are holding these masterclasses. And on top of that, you get lots of free sheet music and videos and resources as well. So highly recommend you sign up. You can also join our free online community, which is in Discord, in a server there. So you can click the link down there for that as well. And we are on there interacting, hanging out, giving people feedback and advice, as well as on the free masterclasses, Zoom hangs, and feedback sessions. So again, highly recommend you get signed up, and I will see you there.
So now we have 3, 7, 1, 5, technically 13 here, 9, and sharp 11. That is such a unique voicing. I've never played this before in my life, right? And so what I would now do, which is something we've talked about before, is I would now, because I like this voicing, I would write it down in my own personal chord dictionary or chord journal. And I would be like, I want to remember this shape because it's really unique. And then I would take it through some of the systems that we do for voicing mastery. Then I would start moving it intervallically. This is a tricky one. But I would get that shape moving, get my hands really comfortable. And then if I was really brave, I might try to move it diatonically. I have to clarify that it didn't take that much bravery. I can't call myself brave for doing that. But doing this, suddenly we have all these beautiful chords. Okay, now really quick, since the question was originally about a dominant chord, well, what's the only thing we need to do to make this dominant? Well, if we remember our C major scale, the only difference between a C major scale and a C dominant scale is a B flat. So let's just flat the B. And there, right there, is a dominant chord that I have never played. This is a voicing I've never played. Cool. So now it's a dominant chord. So basically, hopefully you understand the lesson there. We quite literally just started with the scale, tried a random assortment of notes. We didn't fully love the first couple of iterations, so we changed a couple things around based on our own taste and came up with this really, really cool voicing. And then we decided we wanted it dominant, so we just shifted a couple of the notes that we know theoretically need to be shifted, and voila, it still worked like a charm. So, you know, the ultimate lesson here is, when it comes to voicings, voicings aren't this necessarily just this like genius thing where like, oh, this one guy's just so genius, he knows all the voicings, you know? Sometimes it's as simple as, if you want to have your own unique sound, if you just want to sound like nobody else playing the piano, if you just do this exact process for a matter of months, master, let's say, even just 10 different shapes, right? Kind of a 10-shape system. Suddenly you are in incredible shape. This kind of goes back to Taylor Eichstein's 45 chord system. You guys can look that up if you want. Look up Taylor Eichstein 45 chords, I believe it was 45. We actually did a podcast episode about it about a year ago, and he talked about that, and that was such an awesome, awesome lesson. I think I also posted like a shorter clip about it, but you can find it in the longer podcast as well. We can definitely link to that. But basically, once you take that one voicing, if you do this with 10 voicings, suddenly you have developed like a whole repertoire of voicings that are incredibly unique. But I wanted to, instead of just showing you like, here are some voicings I use, I wanted to actually show you a process where you can create your own, come up with some really, really cool ones. It's actually easier than it seems, and then make those a part of your personal toolkit that you can pull out whether at a gig, whether you're producing, composing, songwriting, whatever it is that you like to use them for. So that is that is how I would go about it.